Hello, everyone. This is Darth Calhoun back with the third part of this Disney series that we're doing. Hopefully, wrapping it up this time. That's why I only named it 5.75 in case I need to do a 5.9.
Taking a cue from the Politicrat, I see.
Taking a cue from our damn Star Wars series.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. So, okay, our next movie, we're skipping over a few and going to Finding Nemo, since it's a classic. I already gave my opinion on the first part, Politicrat. The stage is yours.
I mean, Finding Nemo. It's about a father who loves his son and wants to take care of his son. Yeah, he's a bit of a helicopter parent. Yes, I think it is basically a critique of Gen X, and Gen X helicopter parenting. Either way, it does show that you have to listen to your parents, or else bad things are going to happen to you. But at the same time, parents need to let their children grow up quicker so they can develop a sense of responsibility, so they can learn. They can't be held back and kept as children for a while. And yes, I know it's a single parent and everything, and children benefit from having both parents raise them. But I mean, you can't help it. A swordfish killed him and all of the babies that they had. And to be fair, they had a lot of babies, which is kind of trad. But they're making do with what they got. And in the end, both of them learned something.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. I kind of gave that opinion, but also it's the having a healthy distrust for the world is also, I think, what it also teaches. Like, be skeptical of the dark corners of the world,
the ocean, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's an analogy. Of course, we have to use fish for this. The world's dangerous, so be skeptical.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was quick. All right. Now we're on to.
Can we please move on to Home on the Range? Like, just for the memes.
Home on the Range.
Just for the memes.
Just for the
we'll
memes.
do Pirates of the Caribbean first.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of like everybody's like introduction, I guess, to like that era of history in the Caribbean.
Typical throwback to old adventure 1930s movies. It basically did for the pirate genre what Indiana Jones did for the adventure genre. I can't. There's really not much. You really don't get many like political or cultural messages until the later films. Honestly, I don't think Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl counts as much. Except, I mean, you could say it's a little subversive because it's like, oh yes, she's going to ignore her cast and then like go for her true love and everything. It's like, yeah, I guess that's subversive, but at the same time, that's kind of an old-fashioned adventure trope anyway. So like, I think we can forgive it in that situation.
I mean, I always that's literally what I said during like during the first stream was it's miscegenation between the casts.
Because you can make the same. You can say the same. It's similar for Captain Blood too. Like if you remember the old Errol Flynn movies, he ends up going for like the niece of the colonel, and he's like a former indentured servant. But then you can also make the argument that before he was indentured to the servant, he was like a loyalist during the Glorious Revolution and was like a lesser noble. So maybe that's the difference there. But either way, it's just a run-of-the-mill typical adventure story. I don't think there's anything particularly political about this film. It's just a fun movie.
Mm-hmm. And I love that it didn't like shy away from like the supernatural as well. Like that. I hate how in most modern media they like play off the supernatural as like something psychological with a character.
And it also shows how the pagans are the bad guys too. Like,
oh yeah, especially the fourth movie will really show how the pagans are the bad guys. All right, do you want to do Brother Bear?
Sure.
All right.
Pro family. I think Genesis did the soundtrack, so that's pretty cool. But no, pro family. Like, I mean, he cares about his family and he hunts the bear, but it's like sort of that thing, like it's sort of a Faustian bargain. He hunts the bear and he ends up turning himself into a bear. yeah, he kind of leaves his tribe at the end, I guess, but like at the same time, like he does it for a good cause because he literally like killed the mom of his bear friend, of the little guy.
Mm-hmm.
So like he kind of it's kind it isn't that's the closest thing he has to like a father figure next. So he's kind of like he at the end he's like, okay, instead of going back and becoming a human, like which I want to do, I'm going to do like this sort of responsibility. So then you can even argue that like from the very beginning his true cast was the bear itself. Maybe I'm stretching it a little bit.
I
But then
mean, like,
it also shows Canadians are stupid and like don't make much sense. And the Canadians are embodied in those two moose.
so what I thought, someone brought this up in the first stream that the reason why like the spirits like punished him by transforming him into a bear was because he hunted the mother bear needlessly. Like he didn't need to take the life of that bear, and because he wasn't going to use it, and he was
It's just
punished by
revenge.
having to take the role, yeah, of the bear. Um,
Yeah.
and like that goes into like old Inuit folklore as well. The idea of responsibility and not to abuse the land.
So it's
So,
clearly not Christian, but at the same time, I guess you can say that that's kind of trad because, traditional Inuit,
mhm.
and
I mean,
in a lot of ways, the Native Americans kind of had it a lot better than us, or in terms of like the stuff they actually understood about life and society and stuff.
mhm. Yeah, I said this like the last stream. Like unlike some like radical like Christians of all stripes, whether they're Ortho Bros, Catholics, or Protestants, like they typically try to denounce traditional cultures. I'm like, no, like there's the aspect of the noble pagan, and like I will try to find the beauty in even non-Christian cultures.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
All right, uh, Young Stallion. I've never heard that one.
Neither way.
Yeah, the 2000s just pumped out a lot.
I remember that one. Nothing much to speak of, but around the world in 80 days.
Yeah, it probably doesn't hold a feather to the original.
No, but I
Uh,
just remember that was a fun movie from what I remember. I remember watching it when I was like maybe in elementary school. I don't remember much
hmm.
about it except it had Jackie Chan
Yeah,
and did it have Sacha Baron Cohen? I think it had Sacha Baron Cohen.
I never watched either the original or the new one, so I couldn't say. It's like on my infinite amount of movies I need to watch.
I remember liking it. Sorry about the noise.
Oh, ooh. All right. Oh, the Incredibles.
I mean, do we even need to say anything about this one? I think it's kind of obvious.
I,
Like the
I
entire message is like family good, and
mhm.
and there's like a lot of things if you rewatch it as an adult, like I guess you kind of pick up on. Like there's that entire subplot where she thinks that he's having an affair that like kids aren't going to realize, but then it turns out he's like, no, what are you talking about? I'm like loyal to my wife.
Mm-hmm. And it's a good reinforcement of honestly like then they wanted to emphasize like the WASP like 2.5 child family. So this was like a positive reinforcement of that trope.
And I think the director also.
The director, what you cut out there? Did we lose you?
No, do you hear me fine?
Yeah, now I can hear you again.
Okay, cool. Just want to make sure I took a step outside just because I want some fresh air. But either way, yeah, no, very family oriented movie, very wholesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would tend to agree. Oh, now we're on to literally America shilling the movie. National Treasure.
Just another fun adventure movie. I really don't think there's all that much to it.
Yeah,
Except it's like rah America. So I guess it's like patriotic, but like it's enlightenment, I guess.
I mean, this was like 2004, so this is
But it's
like
all, yeah.
post 9/11, like
This is like Bush
trying
era.
to.
This is like ultimate Bush era.
Hmm. And I mean, like the American civic religion trope is like really emphasized in this
Let's call it
in this film.
centrist because all the left hate the American civic religion now.
Well, I mean, even like we on the right can like admit when something acts like a pseudo civic religion. Like America is like instead of emperor worship like Rome had, it's like constitution worship a lot.
Yeah.
So,
No,
um,
I'm just holding out for National Treasure 3, where Nicolas Cage has to like storm the Capitol to steal Nancy Pelosi's laptop to find a map to like Hyperborea.
I well then if they find Hyperborea, that would kind of subvert like the American civic religion because then it would emphasize that not everybody's created equal. Oh, Narnia, Lion, Witch, and
C.S.
the
Lewis,
Wardrobe.
obviously. Then again, you also get
Mhm.
into the fact like C.S. Lewis he considered himself a liberal, but then again, like that was like old school, like Churchill capacity liberalism.
Yeah.
He's a little on the nose with his allegories, which is fine, especially because it's for young children.
Mhm.
But I just want to talk about this series for a second. It's kind of sad that it like didn't work, because this would have made like a great franchise, and the first film was pretty good. But like it kind of was initially supposed to be like Disney's answer to like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. It just kind of faded away.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, how much do people actually talk about? Like, they'll talk about the original books, like especially on the dissident right. Um, and literally, I think Narnia was put onto like the British's counter-terrorist units, like signs of being a far right extremist. If
Are you
you,
serious?
yeah, literally,
That's
they put Tolkien, they put C.S. Lewis on there. They put a lot of like what would be considered normal reading for even like grade school kids like a decade
yes.
ago.
I remember I was assigned this in the second grade.
Mm. I was never assigned this, but
No,
I
the
do.
professor, no, the teacher read it to us in class. That's right.
Oh, well, that's good at least. Yeah, I was never assigned this in school, but my I'm glad I had a very trad Cath aunt, which I was living at the time, and she made me read it while I was living at her place.
Well, it's
So,
good that she did.
hmm yeah, really instilled that. So, retrospectively, I think her. Okay, so next movie. Oh my God, these are Cars.
Yes, definitely tread. It's basically like slow down, go back to the traditional town. The traditional rural town is better, and it makes you happier than just like materialism.
Hmm. Don't be a rootless cosmopolitan. Is essentially what it's saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty trad story.
basically, it's like Mater's kind of an idiot. That's the point. But like, he's way happier
Hmm.
than like the other people. It's like the mundane life is a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't need like everybody are born with these innate skills and abilities that are unique to themselves, and like not everybody's gonna have like even a midwit IQ. Some people are just not gonna have that. They're gonna be like in the 80s, but they can still have a fulfilling life. Like
Exactly.
you, so I don't like this leveling out of everybody that modernity tries to do. But Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
I don't know. Like, I mean, this is what it gets into. And again, I say this as like a libertarian, but this is what it gets into like the libertarianism right here. The anti-crony capitalism, freedom, blah 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 blah. So I guess kind of not trad if we're
Hmm.
going to be going off of that. But then again, what I do appreciate about this movie is how it's able to weave together folklore and kind of make a new mythology. Because you have the Flying Dutchman, you have Davy Jones, and you have the Kraken. Three completely separate like myths that have nothing to do with each other. but then they kind of like weave them together and synthesize them into like a single. I think that was pretty brilliant. This movie's kind of underrated,
Mm-hmm.
just as a film. Just as a film, it's I think like objectively the first one's the best, but like this one's my favorite. I think.
Yeah, this was actually my introduction to Pirates of the Caribbean. Like I first watched Dead Man's Chest as a kid.
So yeah,
And
classic, definitely classic. I do
mhm,
think that like, of course, it's not as good as like Star Wars or Indiana Jones, but like at least for my generation, like late millennials, this is like our equivalent kind of that because these movies were events. Like
mhm,
these were like the movies when I was a kid.
mhm. Yeah, I'm of course like an older Zoomer. I don't remember when they were released, but I just remember watching it as a young kid. Like I probably watched it like around 2009
I think I saw all of them
area.
in theaters. I saw all of them in the theaters, even the not as good newer ones.
Hmm. Yeah, I was too young. Like this is 2006, so I was 5. Um,
Okay.
yeah, definitely my old man wouldn't take me to that movie at 5. Okay. Oh, do you want to do Meet the Robinsons?
Yeah. Okay. So in a sense, it had a very progressive message because it's like, oh, we need to keep moving forward and like address our failure, and we learn from failure. So that's kind of a progressive message, but it's a very Calvinist movie because it really kind of like exemplifies Walt Disney's ethos, which is inherently Calvinist, of course, but it's also very pro-family, and it's like also at the same time. So it's interesting because it's like, yeah, family is better, but it's like he gets adopted and everything, so that's not a traditional family. The family is still family, and like that's better than nothing. That's better than leaving like kids in fucking foster care. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a mix. This is a weird one.
I mean, like the idea of the adoptive family, like that's not alien to even like the trad sphere
No,
because it's
no,
like,
it's like Joseph adopted Jesus. Like that was a noble thing to do. It was like that was probably one of the most noble actions in human history.
hmm yeah, and like just like oh, all the husbands went off to war, and guess what? My husband died, so I'm gonna remarry, and my son's gonna have to be adopted by this new man, by the new father,
And
like that.
it's also like you can't go back and change the future. Like if you change the future, that like defies natural law.
Hmm.
Because it turns out like no, you just need to like live with the punches that life throws you, and you could like triumph over that. You could become a better person because of your hardships.
Hmm. Yeah,
Well,
fundamental. Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. No, continue.
No, I was just going to say it's just the fundamental acceptance of the reality of the world and how you deal with it instead of trying to make a instead of getting a utopian kind of Faustian vision of that you can shape the world to your image. I don't know if you'd agree with that viewpoint. Oh, and we lost Politicrat. All right. Oh, never mind. He's here.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. Did you hear what my spiel was?
Yeah. I heard like up until the very last point, but like I get what you're trying to go for.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then your point.
Oh no, of course it does have that Calvinist like oh always move forward, progress, like enlightenment, progress, everything. But like I think this is an example. It doesn't that mindset does not necessarily go against tradition. And I do think a lot of the criticisms of modernity and the Enlightenment that people on the DR have is a little over. It's kind of memey in a sense because there are things to salvage from it.
Yeah, I mean, like the original definition of tradition was more a continue, like a bringing forth into the future, um, some a living body, a living experience. That's kind of
Yeah,
more what tradition's supposed to be. It's not this dead thing that's in the past that you just try to LARP as. That honestly, too many people on the distant right try to do. All right. Pirates of the Caribbean Curse.
we
Wait,
did
no, we
this
already
one.
did. Yeah, it jumped me back.
This
Now.
is supposed to be. This is supposed to be World's End because that's the one that came out that year.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
That's a
May-
mistake.
Yeah, that is.
I
I mean,
think.
do you want to talk about At World's End?
I
Since.
mean, it's just a continuation from Dead Man's Chest. Really nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It does kind of like shit on capitalism a little bit, but then again, like you can make the argument it's really only mercantilism because it's the British East India Company. But
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say the pirates are like the exemplars of a small business and all that, but
Yeah. It's very true.
yeah. Ratatouille.
Very pro family, I guess. Like, I mean, I know you can make that as, I mean, it's like pro extended family, but then it's also like, but then it also shows that what's interesting is how the concept of this movie that like anyone could cook. It's very it's it's very misunderstood because people think it means, oh yes, like anybody can cook. It doesn't matter who you are. Like everybody can do everything. No, that's not what it's saying. It's basically saying that greatness can come from anywhere. It's not saying anyone can do it, but it's really like the whole point is greatness can come from anywhere. You can ascend because like he clearly wasn't made for the caste into which he was born. He's clearly
Hmm.
greater than that. It
Yeah.
just goes to show that even though like Linguini inherited it, like Linguini's really only a good businessman. He's a terrible chef. So
Hmm.
it's interesting. So like there's nuance to it. So it's also
Yeah.
it is also I think the best animated movie to take place in Gaullist France that has ever been made.
Mm. I thought it was more like early 2000s France. I didn't think it was Gaullist.
It's clearly Gaullist.
I mean, like, but they have like more modern like motorcycles and stuff.
Do they?
Like
I
the
don't know. I mean,
yeah.
yes, but it's kind of like I guess kind of like The Incredibles, where it's like they have modern technology, but it's like supposed to be the '60s.
Hmm.
I don't
It,
know.
I think it's just Disney pulling a Disney where it's very vague on time.
Yeah.
but um, but what was I also going to say? Oh, and it's kind of you have like that aristocratic principle where like he just come to age and he's coming to take his inheritance of his father's restaurant, kind of like taking his father's estate, but he was too young to inherit at the time. You know.
Yeah, and you also have like the little annoying guy who's like, "Oh, I want to take it in this direction. We want to do all the frozen food. So this is how we'll make money, money, money." It's like, no, we need to have
The
like a good
merchant.
restaurant that's prestigious, and it's a
Yeah,
very
it's
wholesome movie.
yeah, it's the merchant versus the aristocrat, like the idealist versus the pragmatist.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. What's next? Oh, the second National Treasures book a secret.
same thing. We can skip this one.
Yeah, a more America worship mixed with some Native American, like not even Native American, just warping as Native American culture. Um, the Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian. Do you want to
Coming
comment on
back,
those?
it's classic Return of the King narrative.
Hmm. I
Him
mean,
reclaiming his throne.
wasn't Prince Caspian like released around the same time as Return of the King, like book wise?
I have no idea.
Hmm. I we'll have to like look that up
Yeah,
because I know they wrote like around the same period. I'm not doing Marvel. We're not doing unless you want to do Iron Man for some
nah,
reason.
nah,
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Wally.
I don't know about this one. It's basically like, I mean, it's like an environmentalist message, but it's like how you can make the argument that it's like anti anti consumerism, maybe not anti capitalism, but basically anti like again that's it does it kind of transcends politics. This one,
Hmm. I mean, kind of like what we've said, like right wing anti capitalism would be like the biggest if that was allowed to be a political force in America, take off pretty well.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, this is just showing like the consumeristic decay of the world. Like if we essentially allow ourselves to get to that state, which I honestly think if we if our current world order keeps going on its way, we could see a Wall-E type future.
yeah, I agree.
Um, okay, do you want to do Bolt or do you want to skip that?
I mean, we could skip that. Like, I mean, it's basically like I don't know. Let's just say it's like kind of like 101 Dalmatians, I guess, kind of. But like he does find his family, the dog, and everything.
Mm-hmm. All right, Up. All right. So we're on the Up film. Um, Oh, are you there, Politicrat? All right. Well, I guess we lost the Politicrat again. But up. So that way we don't have dead air. So what I said, like in the last film, I mean, not in the last film, in the last live stream. Um, I I don't really know.
Sorry.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, yeah, we're on up right now.
Yeah. Did you not hear what I said? It's pro family.
No, you were completely cut out.
No, I said it's pro marriage, pro family. Like, what is?
Mm-hmm. I find it funny though, like the tomboy girl was like tamed by the trad husband. That's like modern meme culture into a good film. But yeah, and I don't know, kind of like the Faustian drive in European Man. Like I want to do this, I will do this mentality. Yeah. Oh, The Princess and the Frog. Oh my god.
Good movie, but like subversive.
Yeah, very I mentioned like in the last one, like, that prince, why is he going to America to find his mate? I know, like, to marry some like Oh, go ahead. Oh, never mind. We just lost you. All right, you're back.
No, I've been here.
Okay, yeah. You did that like cutting out again. I don't know what's up.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right. Yeah, I don't know. Like, definitely subversive because, but then at the same time, it also shows that like she also kind of does her job, and I guess it's like she's friend, like she it shows that friendship can like transcend the caste, I guess. So maybe you can make the argument that like she was born for something better, but like not. I'd need to watch it again, but I'd say it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, I think like the more trad part of this movie is when the witch doctor is effectively dragged to hell. And the guy that signed the pact to make himself in place of the prince, like they're both dragged to hell, I think. So it kind of just shows you like don't sign Faustian bargains.
Yeah.
I think that's, although I don't expect kids to know what a Faustian bargain is.
That's fair. That makes sense.
We're on to Tangled now. No, you want to talk about
Prester,
this one?
Didn't Prester want to talk about this one?
I think he did, but I literally can't like get a hold of him at all. So
I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, it's a very, let's just say, inconsistent with Prester John. We love you, Prester, but yeah, it's sometimes hard to get a hold of you. But what do you want to say on Tangled?
Tangled, like, she needs to return and like do what she was born to do. It also shows that like it's very anti. It basically shows like you're probably not going to turn out too well if you have like a greedy single mother. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, very true. But I kind of see this like, miscegenation of the casts again. I mean, princess marrying like a not even like just a normal peasant. It's like a scoundrel.
Does she even marry him? I don't remember them ever getting married. I mean, I'm sure it's implied, I'm sure, but like they don't actually get married in the film.
Yeah, in the film they don't. Didn't they make like a sequel, like spin-off series? If I remember right, where they did.
What do you mean?
I believe Disney did make like a spin-off, like TV show, not like a
Really?
sequel
Did
movie.
they?
Yeah,
I've always said this would make a good TV show. I've always said that. That's funny if they actually did.
Yeah, I could have swore that they did. I'd have to look that up because I do remember like a spin-off. Yeah, but what else? Oh, this actually gets into like the ancient trope of like the royal having the ability to heal by touch, because at the end like her tears does revive what's his face when he's about to die.
Flynn Rider, yeah.
Yeah, so which of course if you read Tolkien, like Aragorn does that occasionally in the books, because he has that the touch of a healer that a king has. I mean, Evola also wrote about that too, I believe, in Revolt, um, at some point in that book.
It's kind of funny that the voice actor for Flynn Rider got in trouble recently for criticizing Pfizer.
Oh, ooh, yeah, we're not allowed to talk about them.
No, he wasn't. He didn't even say anything anti-vax, but they're calling him anti-vax. Well, what's his name? Zachary Levi, I think his name is. He also plays the Shazam, which was actually a pretty good movie. One of the only good like DCEU movies.
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know. I guess you just don't criticize Big Brother. That's the lesson. Well, by the way, we fully endorse the United States government in all of its actions for the
In the deep state. Yes.
Yep. Do you want to do Tron Legacy?
Never saw it.
Okay, good. I watched it when I was younger. Oh, here's Pirates 4: Stranger Tides.
Blood magic is bad, and I love how the Spanish come up in the end and they just shoot the fountain of youth, and it's like only God can grant eternal life, and they just walk away
and crush the cups too.
That was fun. That's the best part. Like just the very end, only God can grant eternal life, and they just kill all the British.
Mm-hmm. Although they kind of did Blackbeard dirty, because Blackbeard was a Catholic and Jacobite. So
no, he wasn't a Catholic. He wasn't a Catholic, but he was a Jacobite.
I could have swore he was Catholic. At least somebody said on the first stream that he's Catholic.
It's possible that he I wouldn't be surprised, but at the same time, like he definitely was a Jacobite. He definitely had aristocratic blood.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like only about a quarter of the Jacobites were actually Catholic, though. You had a lot of Anglicans and Presbyterians, and the Jacobite Presbyterians were only Jacobite. They just didn't really care about religion so much as they did like who the king was.
Yeah, but I know it's just like the trope that the majority of them ended up being Catholic in the end. So it's kind of the meme.
We had that conversation, I know, back on the cast episode of Dark Council. Mm-hmm. We talked about like the pirates, about they were like aristocratic gentlemen.
Mm-hmm. Aristocrats that were stripped by illegitimate authority.
Hey, I guess I'm the only one here now. How's everyone doing tonight? Any comments?
Sorry for that, guys. My internet literally like spazzed out for a second and disconnected me.
No, you're good.
Okay. Let's continue. Okay. All right. Yeah, we're not doing DC. Cars 2. I mean, this is like really like not even close to like the first film in terms
of. What's the point? Like, isn't this regarded as like the worst Pixar movie?
I think so. It's like I watched it like once. That's because I had to. I was like at a friend's place and they were watching it.
I don't know. Like, I don't even know if this is really worth it to go for Cars 2. Like,
yeah. It's like James Bond
becomes
with
a
cars.
Spy. Mater becomes a spy. It's like, what is?
Yeah. So somebody in the first stream also said like, the Pope Mobile like made an appearance, and that applies that there was like Pope like car Jesus at one point.
Yeah, I don't understand. The world building is weird in this. Like they definitely, it's definitely hard to explain their way out of a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. I just think, replace average humans with cars. They're just trying to have fun.
Yeah. I don't think Cars is a franchise you should think too much into.
Yeah. Yeah, we already talked about Winnie the Pooh to breath. Do you want to talk about John Carter?
Underrated movie. I don't know if there's much to talk about, But basically, Confederate colonel gets transported to Mars and becomes like their king or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which
Terrible.
that is.
Terrible advertising. That's why the movie didn't do so well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I never watched it. I only like saw the commercials when it was being
It
released.
was actually pretty good. Just it's underrated.
Okay, Brave.
Not particularly trad.
Yeah, that's what we all kind of said. What would have been trad is she picks a suitor at the end. Um, she and or she just picks a suitor at the beginning or something.
You could make the argument that it has definitely, in terms of theology, it definitely has more Catholic theology than Presbyterian Scottish theology. It's like, I'm not gonna be beholden to fate. I want to choose my own free will, or something like that. I don't know.
I mean, of course, I think this is like 10th or 11th century Scotland. So like
Yeah, that's
Presbyterianism
before.
didn't even exist.
Yeah, I know. I'm just talking about in terms of like theological undertones, even though I think we're reading too much into it.
Yeah. And it does kind of show like the evil, like the paganistic magic a bit in its theme. So all right. Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay, so yes, I think this is actually pretty trad. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Because you have
explain.
the usurper car king, the Mario Kart knockoff king, and it turns out that the glitch girl is actually the one who's like the true princess, and she retakes her throne. But then it's also like Ralph is like sick of his job, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna like go around and I'm gonna try all these different games, but like he starts screwing things up, and he's like, you know what, I'm actually best suited for the game that I was created for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, accepting his role, but improves upon his craft too. Like
Exactly.
so. I guess like the only thing that's like explicitly like anti-trad is like sympathizing with Satan and having like a boss girl in like the shooter game.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, but still, it's kind of more played for laughs than anything.
Mm-hmm. I know it's played for laughs. I just pointed that out just because. Okay. Do you want to talk about Monsters University? I never watched it.
They go to college, and basically in the end, it's like, hey, why do you need higher education? No, you could, because they get kicked out of school at the end and go to work in the Monsters Inc. mailroom, and then they rise up through the ranks. So it's like, I guess it's like, what's the point of higher education anyway?
I mean, for some people, like everybody's forced into higher education effectively in America. We're all told, oh, go to university, but I mean that's kind of like destroyed the prestige and the eliteness of going to university. And I think it's had like a dysgenic effect both on the institutions and like the people coming out.
I will say though that like one of the whole points is it's like Mike, the little green guy, he wants to be a scarer. But everyone's like, yeah, no, you're not scary. You need to find something better, like, to do with your life. And he tries to defy it, but he fails because it turns out he's not scary at all. And then he's like, you know what? I do better if I'm like the guy on the side, and if Sully is the scarer. So they find their roles.
All right, the Lone Ranger.
Never saw it. I heard it was awful.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Not much more. Oh, we're on to your favorite movie.
Oh boy, yeah, here we go. Okay. So basically, so she has a family who they have a family who clearly like loves them. However, the parents are also kind of abusive. Like let's not say it. Like her parents are very abusive. So she has like daddy issues, but like reverse daddy issues. Because her father loved her, but her father was like very overbearing. And her father's like part of the reason she went crazy. But so either way though, like she ends up forfeiting her duty, and that causes like massive trouble to the kingdom. It just goes to show like you basically need your leader, you need your monarch, and the health of the land relies on the monarch doing his or her duty.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, though, so basically, she is an Übermenschen or Uberfrau or whatever. She's clearly better than everyone else. She's clearly and it just goes to show you need to have somebody like with that greatness in charge. But if you have like the greatness to rule, to make an impact, and you just give up on that for selfish reasons, like society's not going to benefit from that. Like society's probably going to be for the worse, and that's what you show. Like you just have like everyone's going to freeze. But then she comes back and she's like, okay, I'm going to do my duty, but I am also going to sort of like embrace who I am, but I'm going to do that and I'm going to use that to better my kingdom.
Mm-hmm. I also thought that, like, I know, like, Hans is like depicted, of course, as like the antagonist, but like, what does he like go out as soon as she like freezes the entire kingdom? Like, he
Well,
kind of embraces that solar masculine principle that no, we must restore order. We can't allow a witch to destroy the land.
but he also has no morals at the same time. Like at the same time, plus also I think like Anna in the movie, she's kind of a bit of a dumbass because she's like, and I don't understand the government of this place. It's very inconsistent. It's like, okay, she dies, but after her parents die, she doesn't get crowned for another 3 years. That implies there's like a regent ruling or something. I don't know. But then,
There'd have to be.
yeah, there'd have to be. So like, I don't know. But then, plus, it's like Anna's like, oh yes, okay. I'm gonna make Prince Hans in charge. It's like, okay, so she puts him in charge. Yet then Prince Hans is like, oh, I'm like gonna be take over by killing you and then killing Elsa and whatever. And he claims they exchanged their marriage vows, but there is no witness.
Mm-hmm.
How does that legitimize anything? How does that legitimize like his rule? It seems pretty sus. Like it seems pretty suspicious. Plus, like, wouldn't you think that she'd have like a cousin or a second cousin or somebody who would be like more rightful? I don't know. I don't think they thought a lot of that through. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's definitely not as subversive as a lot of people seem to think it is. And people who think it's like subversive or like liberal or God forbid some sort of like LGBTQ plus allegory did not see the same movie I did. And maybe I'm just crazy, but
Mhm.
like I sincerely do think that it has a very Nietzschean message, but at the same time it's definitely like, yes, you need to embrace your role, like
Mhm.
because you see how self-destructive it is when she goes off and she kind of goes and does her own thing.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Um I'm just thinking with like Salmic law because I know like this is probably maybe around the time of the Reformation, but they still would have used Salvic law.
The movie definitely takes place in the 19th century, so that's well after the Reformation.
Yeah. But I think and I don't know
Napoleon,
if
I think
it's
it's
like
like short. I think it's probably like post-Napoleonic.
yeah, by the uniforms. Um but what else? Oh yeah, but I think they still had Salmic law. I don't think like say Sweden or Norway or Denmark went to female inheritance yet. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think they really looked into like Salmic law and like actual inheritance rights and stuff. So knock the writers for that. Do you want to do the Muppets Most Wanted?
Do we need to? I don't know. It's kind of
No.
just it's kind of its own thing. Just the
Yeah,
Muppets.
I don't really want to either. Do you want to do Maleficent?
Subversive.
Do you want to go into that?
I remember watching it once, but it's like, oh, she was actually misunderstood and she was good. No, and she was supposed to be just an evil person in the original. Like I
Mhm.
remember, I remember like enjoying the movie. Like I remember watching it with my family. So I mean, it was a competent, entertaining film, like average. Like I mean, nothing special, but like a competent film. One of the better like live action Disney ones. But again, subversive, and it makes like the king out to be the bad guy.
Mm. Yeah, I had never watched it. Wasn't like Maleficent like the character from the original supposed to be like a demon, not
Yes,
not just a woman.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. She's supposed to be. She's just like evil witch or something.
hmm Yeah, I just thought since like she turns into a dragon, like more of a demonic character.
Hmm.
But yeah, this is getting into the more explicitly subversive period of Disney. Do you want to do Big Hero 6?
I mean, I remember the movie, but like I don't remember the themes. It was just like I guess teamwork, friendship, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I do have a joke. But what's funny is I did have a joke. Like basically, I feel like I did joke. I was like, that's like a sequel to Man on the High Castle. Because it takes place in like Japanese controlled futuristic Tokyo. I mean
America.
San Francisco, yeah.
Oh my god. So Big Hero 6 confirmed is in Man the High Castle.
Hmm.
Wait. Then where are all like the weird black nationalists that somehow took control of the West Coast? Yeah.
I don't remember that. I mean, I was referring mostly to the book. I never finished the show.
Yeah. I was kind of like joking putting the show lore into there.
Okay.
Because that did not make any sense at all. Like they literally inserted them in the last season of Man the High Castle.
Okay.
Do not recommend. Like only season 1 and 2 are good for Man the High Castle. Zootopia is next.
I have to watch it again, but it was like, I guess, I mean, what did it talk about? Like race and drugs and stuff? That's all I remember.
Yeah. I mean, like if you kind of like see this, like the predators, they're kind of like the aristocrats, but they're being displaced by by like the middle manager bourgeois like prey type. I think that's like the main theme of the film.
Bio-Leninism.
Yeah. Literal bio-Leninism. Okay. Getting close to the end. Getting close. I don't really want to cover the remake of Alice in Wonderland. Do you want to do Incredibles 2 or skip to Moana?
I think Incredibles 2 really just is it has to do with same thing basically.
I think it's kind of subversive with the wife having to, she goes out instead of the husband. It kind of was a little subversive.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, Moana. Honestly, to me, I didn't think it was like that bad of a film retrospectively.
I liked it. However, I do think it's weird where they say like where she's the heir, because that doesn't really make much sense to how their tribal succession worked.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
other than that, I do think it's interesting that Polynesian mythology is actually very similar to like ancient Greek mythology, because basically like Maui, the god Maui, is quite literally Prometheus.
mm-hmm. Almost like we have a perennial attachment of all civilizations.
Oh boy, yes. Clearly, I wonder if it's almost as if that's the case.
Mm-hmm. For all those Christians that try to deny perennialism. But I mean, like I'm not a full perennialist, but I'm like a kind of perennialist.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was besides for the girl power, it was a pretty accurate depiction of Polynesian culture. I never watched the Dead Man Tells No Tales.
It was okay. It's forgettable, but it was okay.
Yeah, I think they did like the Spanish dirty from what I heard.
This is all Marvel now.
Mm-hmm. Cars 3?
Never saw it.
Okay. That pretty much, it ends at 2017. We ran into that issue on the first stream. I tried to find a more full list, but mostly like Disney's just making like live action reboots these days.
Yeah, no, it's kind of sad. It's like, yeah.
So
it's gotten, it's just kind of sad. Like, yes, I know they make money and people are going to go see it because brand. and like fewer people should go see them, but it just goes to show how stale and like lazy it is, and how there's very little artistic, I guess. Yeah, you know what I mean. And now they
Yeah.
just announced, oh yes, we are making Zootopia 2. We are making Frozen 3. We are making Toy Story 5. It's like, but why?
Mm-hmm.
But why? Can you not think of better things to do?
Yeah, and it's kind of like how did Spengler like describe it, like the degradation in like art and media?
Basically,
Um,
it's just going to be it's going to be all pop culture. And I know these things are pop culture, but at least pop culture can be creative and can like actually derive from something deeper. But not when it's
mhm.
just remakes, rom-coms, and superhero movies.
Yeah. Um, I mean, there was like Toy Story 4. There was
Which
a
was, I
remake.
mean, Toy Story 4 was nice to look at, but was highly unnecessary.
Hmm.
It was not a necessary film.
Yeah, I never watched Frozen 2.
Not
Um,
was it okay? It wasn't a fantastic movie, but it was a very good sequel, if that makes sense.
mm, okay.
Like it wasn't
Uh,
necessary. It wasn't necessary. It was pretty to look at, but the general theme was like man versus nature, and like why like the conquest of nature will backfire.
hmm.
And
Yeah.
the entire thing is she has to in order to like save the civilization or the people or whatever. There's like some flood part where it's like the water has to like cleanse. I don't know. Like she stops. There's like a tsunami, but she stopped like the tsunami. But like it just basically shows that the whole weird thing was it turns out she's like a conduit between like the spirit world and the material world, and she has a higher purpose than just being the regular queen. And she it was a weird movie, but like it wasn't it kept my attention. But I think it's, and like I said, I'm making that big video essay that probably won't be released for quite a while, but I do mention it, and I do mention themes that are in it that are relevant, but like it's really only a side thought. Like like I don't know. It was very convoluted. I think that they were trying too hard to like they were really trying to invest in the lore a lot, and I don't think that like it was that necessary.
Hmm. Well, oh my God, Mulan was.
No,
I
God,
forgot about that one.
I never saw it.
Yeah, I never saw it either. Then there's like that Cruella. It's like trying to redeem Cruella Deville. It's like okay, okay, try to make it's literally like it's just the reversal of morality at this point. Like they're just
Yeah,
trying to make you think, be anti-moral essentially. Um, yeah, and that's pretty much it. Like that's all I can see on the Wikipedia page.
I guess.
Wow, that's I thought it would take honestly a little bit longer.
So did I.
But I guess well, Disney. I mean, at this point, their writer board is just sapped of culture. So I don't think we're going to be getting like the 40s through like the 60s of like truly classics ever again from
So there
Disney.
was the 40. I think the three great eras of Disney were like the 40s through 60s, or 39 through like I'd say like Snow White through Jungle Book. And then you had that like Dark Age, and then you had Little Mermaid through like Tarzan, and then you had like another Dark Age, and then you had like Princess and the Frog through like Moana,
Hmm.
and those are like the three like times where Disney was like at its height.
Yeah, and it always seemed like to get shorter that they had a golden age, and then
Yeah,
they degraded. So I don't know. Maybe like if we do get another golden age, it'll be like only like a couple films
uh,
before. I don't know. That's just speculation, but
You never know.
yeah. Any final comments on Disney?
Not really. I just think it's a mixed bag. Like, as a corporation, and I do say, even though they might try to, like, okay, so I'm going to say, like, for instance, films like Frozen were not intentionally made, like, with the themes that I think that I would argue that they have, but they are subconscious. That
Mhm.
might sound like a bit of a cop out or a cope, but like, I don't know. I do think that a lot of these films are up for interpretation.
Yeah, I mean that there is something to be said about artist intent, and there is something to be like the perennial mind, just like will insert tradition even like subconsciously.
Yeah,
That so, but yeah. So well, thanks Politicrat for coming on for another final stream. No,
absolutely.
it's been a pleasure, and I'm glad to have your insight. And
Anytime.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in on the Dark Council episode 5.75. We will be doing other streams. I know my first co-host, Al's Monarchist, wants to do like a Soviet film podcast, which I will literally go into like with absolutely no prior knowledge, and he'll be like the only explainer. So keep an eye out for that. But thank you all for joining. Hit that like, subscribe, and bell icon. And I guess don't lose faith in the dissident right. Unlike one guy here. All right. Good night.